Don't kill the world, all needs of life.
Harmony amidst hatred. Tonight, Nightline goes inside the city of Sarajevo, where ethnic tolerance survives in the face of ethnic hate. And we profile rugby's Chancellor of the Exchequer, a true mover and shaker.
Oh, we've raised about pretty close to $500,000.
This is Nightline with Janet Wilson and Neil Waka.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Most of you watching tonight are not worried about staying alive. In Sarajevo, it's a different story. 12,000 people have died in the city since the war began last year. And with the United Nations agreeing that airstrikes can be used in Bosnia, more bloodshed may lie ahead. Still, the people of Sarajevo continue to live, not just exist. Serbs, Croats and Muslims there are determined to stay neighbours and family, even though surrounded by ethnic hatred and violence. Sarajevo is determined to stay civilised. The special report from Nightline's correspondent Dave Marash.
In the shadow of Trebivić Mountain, just outside a gate in the ancient walls around the city of Sarajevo, lives Hasima Vesajic.
This used to be a great place for outings. There used to be the traditional Bosnian coffee shops, the kind where you grind the coffee by hand. And now we have nothing. Now you can see what we have.
Not that Hasima and her friends are giving up just because of a 17-month siege and hundreds of mortar and artillery shells that have left the walls and roofs of her old neighborhood looking like Swiss cheese.
Everything was destroyed, but we will rebuild everything. Just give us peace and health, and we can accomplish anything.
Enter the city gate and turn the corner, and you can see what Hasima means. There on Alexa Santasa Street, named for one of Sarajevo's great Serb poets. Her neighbors, most of the Muslims, are digging a new gas line. The same agreement that obliges the Serb nationalists to stop shelling the city and to pull back from their positions on nearby mountains obliges them to restore Sarajevo's water, electric, and gas service. Few believe these obligations will be met, but this volunteer labor goes on anyway. Of course this makes sense, says one man with a shovel. Of course Sarajevo has a future.
Sarajevo can't die. It will never die.
Jure Pelivan was the first prime minister of the independent state of Bosnia-Herzegovina. These days, the ex-prime minister, who also used to be one of his country's top bankers, lives quietly with his wife. How the once wealthy Pelivans share Sarajevo's common difficulties was displayed during a rainstorm. Mrs. Pelivan joined the neighbors in the rush for rainwater. The runoff from a storm drain may be the cleanest water available in Sarajevo these days. And when God makes it available, every man, woman, and child in town rushes to get a share. Otherwise, there's the river, the sewage-filled Milatska, a few equally polluted shallow wells, and the pipes and tank trucks which magnetize mobs of jug carriers wherever they're parked.
A man carrying jugs of water is passing by a hospital. A doctor grabs him. "Come quick, it's an emergency." "Okay," he says, "I'll give you my blood, just don't take my water."
Zenit Zozic is a member of the comedy troupe Surrealist Hit Parade. So is Sula. They used to be stars on Sarajevo television, but no one can watch television in today's powerless Sarajevo. So
we are working on a radio show. We usually finish planning the show around 5 o'clock in the morning, so people get an immediate reaction to current events. Radio doesn't require a lot of technical facilities. For example, if we need a moving tank, people who have batteries for their car, for their radios, save them to listen to our show. They really listen to us a lot.
Our work is to show people, even in our terrible situation, there is a way out.
Long live be blown to pieces. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Since my childhood is filled with shells and motels, this music is what makes me feel better, so I can forget the horrible things going on around me.
The Palchichi choir is usually limited to girls under 12, but now, says director Slavko Oljevich, we let them stay on longer. In today's Sarajevo, it's definitely better to be in the choir than out in the world.
It's a horrible time. All people talk about are terrible things. At home, downtown, on the streets. In our lives, nothing is normal. Everything seems unreal. Things you could never dream of now are coming to pass. We offer warmth and happiness and good feelings to people.
Don't kill the world, she's all we have.
The choir is planning a world tour to raise money for, and more than that, raise consciousness about its beleaguered base of operations. In Sarajevo, the girls raise spirits and speak the spirit of the city.
This war broke out to force apart the people of different nations. But I think that is impossible. I have friends from all different nations, and we get along very well.
People here have been divided for no reason. What do faith and religion mean? What does nationality mean in this modern world of satellites? There is no excuse for this war, no excuse.
Symptoms of the siege are everywhere in Sarajevo, but nowhere more so than in the marketplace. Look what's for sale here. Much of this merchandise isn't just used, it's cared for. But when your survival is at stake, you'll sell what you love. Who is this?
Mickey.
How long have you had him?
3 months. He has a perfect personality. He knows how to talk. He understands everything. But unfortunately, I have 2 children and I have to do this.
This may be the world's most low-energy market. Sellers who don't want to part with their few goods, buyers who can't afford even the small quantities on offer. And no one seems to want to talk about anything. How can there be a free market when the city and its people are chained inside a circle of heavy weapons?
I don't think like that myself. Not even now do I consider myself Serb. I'm Bosnian. I live with Bosnians here, and I consider myself Bosnian.
Connoisseurs of Bosnian culture can tell by their names. The Panjas are a mixed couple. Mirjana is a Serb name, while Jamal equals Muslim.
I am Bosnian too, but I belong to the Muslim tradition here, you know.
Jamal's father translated the Quran into Serbo-Croatian and was a Hafiz, meaning he knew the Muslim holy book by heart. Jamal translates psychological texts from English into Serbo-Croatian and teaches language in high school. A peaceful scholar with no apparent factional hate in his heart, he still can't keep the war out of his home. The war has chased their son, a graduate student of genetic engineering, out of Bosnia. Mirjana can't even talk about it without crying.
Terrible. It feels terrible because we cannot connect him, we can't see him. Almost 1.5 years passed since we didn't see him.
And in the midst of its torment, Sarajevo is having an arts festival featuring a production of Samuel Beckett's bleak 20th century classic, Waiting for Godot, directed by the New York writer and thinker Susan Sontag.
It's so painful she can't find the words.
The language barrier, Sontag speaks no Serbo-Croatian and most of the cast doesn't know English, is the least of her trials.
The hardest thing about the work is that we're working in the dark. There's no electricity and there's no water. Okay, now we try it on the stage, on our dark stage. The actors don't know their lines immediately. They read from a script, but they can't read their scripts. They can't see each other's faces from far away.
Waiting for Godot is being performed this week by candlelight in the middle of the day for an audience that dares not go out at night. But it will be performed. Sarajevo is a city where the show must go on, no matter what. The actors understand that.
We are waiting, Godot, actually, we are waiting for democracy and for very, very close living with each other. I mean, all three nations as we are living here in Sarajevo and in Bosnia.
My father is Croat. My mother is Muslim. And my name is Serb's name, Orthodox name. And I don't know what am I.
Where would somebody like you fit into a divided, apartheid state of Bosnia?
Nowhere. Waiting for Godot is very interesting for Sarajevo. Maybe I'm waiting for, and the people in Sarajevo and in Bosnia and Herzegovina waiting for something. Maybe that's Clinton.
And the people of Sarajevo have been waiting for a long time. The war began in April 1992. Well, there's more to come on Nightline, national news and sport with Neil Waka. With 4 escaped prisoners still on the run tonight, the row over prison security is not likely to die down quickly. 8 days ago, 3 prisoners broke out of Mount Eden. 2 are still free. And an Auckland District Court judge has been appointed to inquire into last night's breakout by 2 prisoners from Auckland's maximum security jail at Remo. The pair are both regarded as dangerous. But prison officers say the level of staffing in our prisons is dangerous too.
The escape, according to prison union leaders, can be directly linked to Justice Department cost cutting.
We've done a lot to help the government and the department do cuts, but they want more and more and more, and it just gets down to a position where the general manager just can't run his prison anymore, and you will have more escapes.
John Paul says problems began 2 years ago when the security towers were demanned. Now, he says budgets are so tight, sick or absent staff aren't replaced. And he says that's creating tension in the jail as inmates spend more time in their cells.
Can you see officers being hurt?
Well, unfortunately, it possibly could come to that.
His views are echoed in a prison security review by Coopers and Lybrand released 2 days ago. It says prison staff widely believe that escapes can be traced to a lack of money. And it found the prison system had no national development plan or consistent design policy. The general manager of the prison, Bob Patchett, wouldn't talk to us on camera today, but he did tell us that the cell block where the 2 men escaped was fully staffed at the time. And he says Remo still holds the record for the least escapes of any prison in the world. With 4 prisoners on the loose, an Auckland District Court judge has been appointed to carry out an immediate inquiry into how the latest pair managed to make their escape from Remo. Leanne Malcolm, 3 National News.
In other national news tonight, social welfare's actions are being reviewed by the Commissioner for Children. His question, did social welfare know enough to prevent the tragedy of a young Dannevirke boy who was kicked to death by his father?
They knew even long before it ever happened.
Robert Martin is one of 4 neighbours who say both social welfare and the police were warned of problems in the Manukau household before 10-year-old Craig was beaten and kicked to death by his father in a drunken rage. Social welfare maintains the death was unforeseeable.
There is no single event that stands out that anybody informed the department that was completely ignored or overlooked that could have in any way prevented the tragedy that occurred happening.
My partner, Peter Marriott. Threats of legal action today as Wellington lawyer Bruce Curran faced the media to deny allegations that he had fleeced the Druids Friendly Society for millions of dollars. Mr Curran blames the society's financial collapse on its failure to sell assets before the 1987 crash and says he'd like to sue Tasman MP Nick Smith for allegations made under parliamentary privilege. And Dunedin becomes the haggis capital of the world. Local butchers stuffed more than 150 sheep and ox stomachs with 600 kilograms of offal, double the previous record.
It's renowned for years for making men out of boys.
Pride of place went to this 48-kilogram monster, which also claims a world record.
Here's for the biggest haggis in the world.
In world news tonight, Iraq claims US bombers have sprung a surprise strike on a military position in northern Iraq. A soldier and a civilian have been reported injured in the raid on an anti-aircraft battery 20 kilometres west of Mosul. There's been no confirmation from American authorities. A 14-year-old American, Kimberly Mays, has divorced her natural parents. Kimberly was switched at birth and went home with the wrong family. But a Florida judge has decided the 14-year-old girl can stay with the man who brought her up, and she won't have to visit her biological mother. A Japanese company has developed a machine which erases ink from copied paper. And if you think that sounds silly, consider how much is spent buying new paper each week for the office Xerox machine. It looks like any other big office machine, but inside, a new thermochemical process is removing every mark from the paper surface. Under the new system, paper can be reused up to 20 times, and that equates to big savings in paper budgets and natural resources.
People in the world concerned about the forest resources, and I feel this technology will help to reduce the destruction of forest.
But the machine is slow. Only 3 pieces of paper can be processed per minute. Raiko, the inventor, hopes to speed up the operation before it puts the machine on the market.
Won't be too short.
And in news just to hand, a search and rescue operation is underway on Northland's Hokianga Harbour tonight. The alarm was raised when 2 Japanese tourists swam ashore at Rangi Point. 3 other people are still being sought after a dinghy capsized. Rescue efforts are being hampered by rough seas. Now sport with Neil.
Coming up after the break on Sportsline, Brett Stephen has had a tough day on court. Philip Tatorangi is back in the swing at the amateurs in Canada, and the world decathlon champ is hoping to pole vault into a brand new Mercedes-Benz. A return to Canada has world amateur champion Philip Tatorangi back in the golfing groove. The Aucklander, who won the World Championship in Vancouver last year, has fired a sizzling first-round 65 to lead the Canadian amateur in Victoria by 2 shots. Another Kiwi, Rowan Welsh, is second. Meanwhile, one of Tatorangi's former teammates, Steve Scarhill, is 7 shots off the pace at the halfway stage of a professional tournament in Malaysia. International competition returned to Queenstown's Coronet Peak today, with Annalisa Koberger winning the women's points race. It was a hard act to follow for Simon Wirutene.
The Rotorua skier was in commanding form, his 2 runs taking him to 2nd overall in the Wiggly Cup Giant Slalom. The GS went to German national team member Tobias Banasoy, who'll be looking to add the slalom tomorrow.
England has lost one of its few in-form batsmen, Graham Thorpe, on the morning of the 6th Ashes Test in London. Thorpe cracked his left thumb while batting to a 17-year-old club bowler in the nets at the Oval. Mark Ramprakash has been rushed in to replace him. The world's athletic elite is still moaning over the lack of appearance money for the world champs in Stuttgart this week. In the vanguard is world decathlon champion Dan O'Brien, who'll have to settle for a new Mercedes if he retains his title. And as always, the ultra-confident American is talking of breaking the world record, this time his own.
O'Brien's only competed once this year, winning the US title, but says he's over the latest of his injuries, a pulled left groin muscle.
I think I just need to concentrate now on, technique and form more than anything. I'm not extremely strong, but I think my field events will get me through.
An inexplicable pole vault failure in the US trials cost O'Brien a place at last year's Olympics, but he's looked sharp since arriving in Stuttgart. And also on a high is the New Zealand 10-pin bowling team, which has arrived home after rolling its way to its best ever finish at the Asian Youth Championships in Hong Kong. One of the team just missed out on a bronze medal, but their outgoing nature saw them pick up the Goodwill Award. The young bowlers are now looking for more international competition before Auckland hosts the Asian event in 1995. Mike Brown, 3 National News.
Manchester United's new $10 million signing has made a dream home debut. Roy Keane scored 2 goals as the English soccer champions beat Sheffield United to grab the Premier League lead. Mark Hughes added to Keane's double as United won its 9th successive league match in front of more than 41,000 fans at Old Trafford. Brett Stephen is out of the RCA Hardcourt Champs in Indianapolis after a tough second match against Spaniard Tomás Carbonell. After a poor start, the 15th seed won the second set but lost the third set tiebreaker. Better news from across the Tasman, where the Auckland-built and signed sloop Devil Woman is the unofficial winner of the Mooloolaba to Hamilton Island Ocean Race. Builder and designer Duthie Lidgard went along for the ride and was suitably impressed. And finally, in sports news tonight, at an age when most rugby players prefer to prop up the bar, Peter Fatialofa is still going strong. The irrepressible Manu Samoa captain tells people he's 31. Well, he's actually 34 and still wants to be around at the next World Cup in 2 years' time. But Auckland rugby selectors aren't exactly helping his cause.
The Auckland Rugby Union mightn't want him anymore, but try telling Mervale Primary School children in the eastern suburbs that Peter Fatialofa has passed his use-by date.
I really enjoy going to primary schools more than any of the other schools because...
Do you expect to be one out here in the eastern suburbs? I mean, it's not a strong Polynesian area, is it, out here in the eastern suburbs?
Oh, there's a few duckies there. But, no, it's good. It doesn't matter. No, I just go to, you know, I'm here on behalf of the Auckland Union and I go out and when I got spare time...
What about behalf of the Auckland Union who won't pick you?
Hey.
So you can't play for the Auckland Union, but you're speaking on their behalf. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. I mean, you're like, if you can't do one thing, you have to do another.
With his rugby season abruptly ended, the piano man is back at work, and it's back-breaking work. Note the body position. Easy to see why Fats is so effective going forward on the rugby paddock. But his shock axing from the Auckland squads last week has him considering a shift of a different kind.
In the last couple of years, I've had offers to go here and there, but, you know, I'm a pretty staunch Auckland player, but I think with a lot of competition that's coming up in the Samoan team itself, that I have to find other avenues of staying fit and being competitive in rugby. So probably next year I'll have to look at it again and probably have to move province.
Manu Samoa doesn't have the luxury of a corporate-funded, business-managed All Black club, but Fatialofa takes pride in their grassroots support.
What it is, you get two guys to run with two wheelbarrows, and you got the team behind running from behind, and the village people just turn up in droves and just throw whatever they got, $1, 50 cents, whatever, and the kids.
How much have you raised?
Oh, we've raised about pretty close to $500,000. But that's covering 2 islands. We went to Pango and raised $89,000 US. And that was pretty good because, you know, there's only about 20,000 Samoans there. And just like you did the Americans, because their money doubles, you see.
After fitting in knee surgery tomorrow, Fats and several of his teammates will hit the road again next week on a promotional tour of Samoan communities in Southern California and Utah. Now that has to be the ultimate end-of-season rugby trip. Stephen Stewart, 3 National News.
Look, if Fats has his way, he'll be around another 20 years at least.
I bet too.
That's Sportsline for tonight, Janet.
Thanks, Neil. Well, stay with us. Just ahead, Friday's weather, and sorry, it's bad news. Well, a few moist areas around the country today as rain fell in many places. By lunchtime on Friday, a front moves onto the south of the country with a southwest flow behind it. That'll bring a few showers to the east coast of the North Island and Northland. So Whangarei and Auckland will see showery periods tomorrow with southwesterlies. The rain extends further south to Hamilton and Tauranga. Rotorua will see more of that rain, as will New Plymouth. On the east coast, Gisborne, Napier and Hastings will be mainly fine. Morning showers are the order of the day for Palmerston North, while the capital will also have a few showers. Across the Gutter and Nelson will have a few showers around noon, while in Christchurch the rain will fall in the morning. Dunedin too will have morning showers, while rain is also predicted for Invercargill. That's Nightline for Thursday. Thanks for your company. Join John Hawkesby and the 3 National News team tomorrow at 6. I'm Janet Wilson. Good evening.